Journalism students often get started on stories when someone on the staff hears about a problem. Here's an example. One of your staff members talks to two students who say that the lunch lines in the cafeteria are way too long. It's taking them so long to get their food that they barely have time to eat. You've seen the long lines, so you know they're not just making this up. Sounds like a story to cover, right? So you talk to the first student and she says, "For the last 2 weeks, I've had to wait like 10 to 15 minutes in line every single day." Okay. And you talk to a second student who says, "I only have 30 minutes for lunch, and if I spend 15 in the line, I barely have time to eat and get to my next class." Well, that does sound like a problem to report on. So you start drafting a story. Long lines for lunch leave students low. Students have been frustrated with long wait times for lunch in the cafeteria in the first weeks of school this year. "I barely have time to eat," sophomore Alicia Alberto said. Students report regularly waiting up to 15 minutes, and so forth. Is that likely to be a strong story? You got the quotes and the attribution, you have facts, you have two sources confirming it, so it's good to go, right? But what's lacking? You could say it's context or say it's missing the full 360-degree perspective. These quotes are only two people, and they're both the same age and the same sex. Who else should you talk to get more perspective? Try more students. Different ages and sexes could help. What if you heard this from a senior boy? "It seems like every year the lines are long when school starts. After a few weeks, they seem to settle down. This year it seems worse for some reason." Okay, that's important to consider. And how about the staff of the cafeteria? What if the cafeteria director told you this? "It's always hard at the start of the year, but 2 weeks ago, one of our staff got sick. She was in the hospital for 4 days and won't be back until next week." Well, that's kind of important, right? How about teachers or administrators? What if the dance teacher told you this? "I feel bad for my fourth period dancers. They always get to lunch a few minutes later than other kids." Aha! So the first two girls are coming from that class. So they're some of the last people to get in line. How about students at other schools? So you can put your school's lunch lines in context of peer schools. If they have similar issues, that would be important to add. Hearing about an issue and interviewing a couple people is just the beginning of a good story. Ask yourself, who else should you hear from to really understand the story? Think about what other perspectives can add context to the story. Keep going. Ask questions. Get the other points of view so you understand the big picture. Facts are critical, but they need to be understood in context. Get the whole story.